Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 19 of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we are coming to you once again from the international headquarters of GSM Services and looking forward to having some great discussions in the coming weeks and months. We simply believe in discussing more of the reasons why Gaston's great. We are highlighting another great organization this week and have Dr. Omer Shedd with us today. Dr. Shedd is the president of the board for Promise for Haiti. So in all seriousness, this is an international themed podcast today. I think maybe our first one. We did have Rotary on, but we really focused mostly on the local things that Rotary does. But Omer, it's great to have you on, and welcome to the podcast.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we're going to get right to it. If you could, in less than 90 minutes, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Boy, where do you pick to start? It's just been such a long journey that I have had to endure. But I guess I would say it all started back in the turmoil and chaos of the 1970s when I was born in what some people would consider an international area called Arkansas.
I think I knew that, actually.
Yeah, it's very similar to a lot of places I work in Haiti. But overall, a wonderful place to be and a great place to grow up. I was begot by my parents, Marcia and Liana Shedd, who, along with my three other siblings, grew up. And in 2003, I was handed over into the arms of my wife, Kelly, who has taken care of me ever since, along with my three children.
And she's done an exceptional job of that, by the way.
Well, she tries. It's a challenge, but she's able thus far. She has been a fantastic and perfect wife, as anybody could imagine, and is literally a lot of the reason that I'm able to do the things that I do with Promise for Haiti. But I've got three wonderful children who are all in their teenage years now and in school, and we've been enjoying that. Yes. That's also presents some challenges that have been fun, and we have thoroughly enjoyed them. So I'm now here in Gastonia. I've been here about 12 years.
Okay.
We moved here back in 2010, and I've just never really looked back. It's been a good experience for our whole family.
Can you share real quick, what are you a doctor of?
So I'm officially called an electrophysiologist, which is a title that's usually reserved for people with pocket protectors and and horn rim glasses, that kind of thing. But it's a field of cardiology where we deal and manage arrhythmias of the heart, and those are problems that sometimes people you've heard who have pacemakers or things called defibrillators. I'm the guy who implants those, or I do procedures where people have what's called an ablation, where we go into the heart and map out little tiny short circuits and destroy them with a wand of fire to get rid of the person's problem. And it's a very rewarding field. It's always changing. The technology's fantastic. That's what drew me to it. And you get a good experience taking care of patients who you can really make a difference in their life. So I've enjoyed that.
So you're a Jedi of the heart.
Very similar to Jedi. That's
okay.
Exactly right.
Thank you.
Thanks for the Star Wars reference.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So
Star Trek would be a little more appropriate for most people in my field. But.
Oh, okay. Well, we can go there. Yeah, I'm an original, William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy Star Trek guy. So yeah, absolutely. So can you first just how did you end up involved with Promise for Haiti, and then just kind of talk about the history, and then we'll get into the the mission, and just kind of share what you can about Promise for Haiti, because we may have some listeners who aren't familiar with the organization.
Sure. So I first became involved with Promise for Haiti, which was actually then called the Christian Mission of Pignon, which is the town where we work in Haiti, back in 1992. So I was a college student in Arkansas, in a place called Hendrix College, which is a small liberal arts school there. Was pretty heavily involved in volunteer work there, and the local chaplain at the school grabbed me and said, "I know you want to go to medical school, and I know a mission in Haiti where I think you would enjoy going. Why don't we set something up?" So, some people were born or raised and worked in a place called Hope, Arkansas, where I went to college. Is a little more closer to Despair. Not a whole lot going on, so we made up reasons and things to do, and when we weren't studying, and most of that was volunteer work at the time when I was there. But I went to Little Rock, which is where the mission was first based. It was actually based out of a home of a lady and gentleman who are since passed named Lou and Nancy Crook. And we visited with them about taking a team of students down. And so this was back in the days when there was literally no infrastructure in Haiti, at least out in the countryside. It was very rural, very third world. And we took a team of about 15 students down and did some various projects working around the hospital and teaching English classes and doing vaccinations and things like that. So that got me involved, and I always had known I would go to medical school. And at some point, I decided I need to get back involved with this because it was such a great experience. I would literally remember it like it was yesterday. We had some really fantastic moments. Probably some of the things which come to mind were, I don't know if you remember what was called the Jesus movie years ago, which was a movie made in the 70s, I think, but missionaries would take it around the world and show it in different places and try to share the gospel. And
I don't think I'm familiar with that. That's
it was a very low grade quality film done
like this podcast.
This podcast is right in line with that
Great,
level.
thank you.
Yeah. But so we went to the town square, and mind you, there's no electricity, but this guy brought a generator with him and put a big, I don't know, blanket or something up and showed this Jesus movie in the town square. Mind you, I mean, Haitians had probably never even seen a movie, much less some production like this. There were no TVs, there's no electricity, nothing. It is so dark at night when you turn the lights out, if you've got any, you can't see your hand in front of your face. So we went to this big scene. They showed the Jesus movie, and at the very end of the movie, Jesus ascends into heaven, and you would think you were at a Panthers football game and a winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. I mean, everybody there was screaming and yelling and clapping, and it was just the most joyous moment.
Wow.
That really burned an impression in my mind. Very much enjoyed that. On the flip side of that, we went to a voodoo ceremony also in the middle of the night in this tiny little witch doctor's house.
Is that where you met Dustin Letts?
That they actually pulled him up from the dead. He was a zombie for a while. He's sort of gotten away from that now. But that was also an experience that, it really made you realize that when you're outside of a country like the United States, how different things are and what people's world perceptions are, just illness and how they approach treating illness and what their options are. And so a lot of that really went deep into me. When we came back, you may recall, I think it was Hurricane Andrew that went through the south part of Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. I do remember that. Yeah.
That was the week we were in Haiti.
Oh, wow.
And so our only connection with the world was the Voice of America on a ham radio that they would turn on at night. We'd kind of listen in, and we heard about this gigantic hurricane that destroyed the southern part of Florida. And so when we came back home, they were still trying to deal with that mess. And in some ways, it really kind of jaded a lot of us as college students because people were complaining that the military hadn't got there soon enough, and people were having to take baths in their swimming pools, and it was so terrible. But we were coming out of a place where there was literally nothing, and so people are just struggling to find food. And that hit home. And I think that probably had a big influence on me wanting to get back someday and get involved. So
that was almost 30 years ago, is that correct?
92, 93, something like that. So got back and went on, finished school, actually went back to Haiti one further time with another group of students, then went on to medical school. At that point, things got really busy. It was hard for me to find time to do that kind of thing. Went on, got married to my wife, had kids, family, the whole bit. Then once we moved here, I started having some time open up where I've always wanted to get back down to Haiti. And so almost a year after we moved here, I called up the founder of the mission, Dr. Theodore, and I said, hey, Guy, because I'd been in touch with him over the years. We're pretty close. And I said, have you ever had anybody come down and put pacemakers in Haiti? He said, "What's a pacemaker?" So that's where it started. And I got down there and really have never looked back. I've been dozens of times, gone with hundreds and hundreds of people doing various things in the mission. And longer story short, I went through, got involved in the board, and before I knew it, I was president of the board, and haven't really looked back since then. It's been about 7 years in that position, and looking forward to continuing to do it for a long time.
Well, that's a great story. So, I mean, can you share at all any more details about how did the the organization actually get started in Haiti, and how did it end up being associated here in Gastonia? Or
Sure. So as I said, we were in Little Rock originally, and the reason for that was Dr. Theodore actually. I'll just sort of tell his story. He's originally Haitian, born in Pignon. And his father was a Baptist minister there. When he was a kid, there were no health care at all. His dad, as a minister, tried to provide health care for some people, but he saw a lot of death. And one of his best friends died of an infectious illness when he was young. And he told his dad, "If I can be a doctor, I'm going to come back someday and help my people." And so he goes through medical school. Apparently, Dr. Guy I think he's one of 13 children.
Okay.
In Haiti, when you're the brightest kid, you're the one who gets to go to school. Everybody else stays home and helps do whatever's needed around your land. But he was clearly the brightest. He's the kind of guy who literally memorized and regurgitated books of the Bible.
Oh, wow.
He's a very, very intelligent man. I heard that story about him at a retirement party for him. So he got his medical degree in Haiti at the medical school there. He came to the United States for his residency surgical training, which was up in New York. Spent several years there. Joined the the Air Force, and became the chief surgeon at the Air Force Base in Little Rock, Arkansas, North Little Rock, Arkansas. So he worked there for a few years, operated on a lot of sort of top dogs in Arkansas, whatever that means, and he started developing quite a reputation as a surgeon, a very gifted surgeon. And in a dream, in the middle of the night, his father came to him, who had since passed away, and said, "Guy, did you forget your promise?"
Oh, wow.
And that was enough for him. He dropped what he was doing. He finished his work in the military, started this mission in Pignon, first with a small hospital that was just a few beds. And since then, it's grown to a 60 or so bed hospital with 2 operating rooms, an OBGYN suite, and full medical services all the way through surgical, medical, pediatrics, you name it. In addition to that, they have 9 elementary schools. We educate about 2,000 children every year, and we'll be taking that on now towards secondary school, which has been a government mandate, so we're working towards that. The other big project was clean water. One of the first things he recognized was that without clean water, healthcare is almost impossible. So through the help of a retired farmer in Arkansas, a guy named Jay Lawhon, he came down and drilled over 2,000 wells. He shipped equipment down, and just literally overnight, they transformed that area into a much healthier place, which has made tremendous difference. And there's almost this little pocket in Haiti around Pignon where the healthcare and the health of the people are just better, and so much better than what's out and around the rest of the country. So he's had a tremendous impact there. And the overall reaching theme of the mission really is helping people not only with their health care and education, empowering the community, giving them clean water, but sharing gospel through that and giving people opportunity to heal their souls as well. So it's been a really amazing legacy. He is still living. He's, I believe, 81, and he's still king of the hill at the mission. Although he's in a retired position, he's still in the courtyard every day and,
sure.
And leading and directing people. I'll tell you, one of the things that's most remarkable about him, when he sits in his chair in the courtyard, and little kids come up to him all the time. They know, Guy has probably got $1 in his pocket. And so little kids all the time will come up and ask him for something and some help, and other people in the community. He's been a real pillar there. So it has been a real pleasure getting to work with him. He's taught me so much about mission work and what's effective and what's not effective. And so, like I said, that's been the cornerstone of the mission. And our goal now is really to carry that on. You know, he's not going to live a lot longer. He knows that. He says that every time we talk to him. But he's put in place all the right people to make sure that it continues without him.
So a real legacy.
A real legacy.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack. So I'm afraid I don't know how many times God has actually spoke to me, but most of the time I want to ignore it. Right? Yeah. And so whether that's selfish or what, I mean, that's mostly what it is, or I'm just too dumb to realize that, he sent me all these messages and I'm thinking it's something else. So yeah, to have that, to take the action that's required on something like that is, that's an impressive story. That's why I wanted to hear that, because I had read a little bit about, the story on the website, but it's good to hear it from your firsthand experience, knowing him and knowing what actually goes on there. And then, we'll get to this, but I want to make sure everyone listening understands and don't undersell your part in all this as well, because I've heard more than one presentation that you've given about the work down there and everything that you've done. And there's something very specific recently that you've helped accomplish down there that through our Rotary Club. So I appreciate that. Omer, can you kind of share, you may have already said this, but is there a specific mission that Promise for Haiti has, or have you kind of already, was that kind of included in what you've already shared?
That was pretty much included in what I've shared. We've grown as a mission over the years, encompassing more and more things. It started out purely as a healthcare.
Right.
But as time has gone on, it is the experience of being in Haiti and understanding where the problems are led to the need for better education. We're trying to provide that in that community so that it will turn and change lives, not just providing a school where kids can learn to read and write, which is what it began as, but actually to get them on into some career and to some point where they can actually contribute to the economy of the community. And I think that's one big area we're trying to improve currently. There's always challenges in every facet that we do, but those three core things, really, healthcare, education, and community development, all the while trying to be sort of a light for the area and the country, right, and an example. So we're developing over time to be that. We would love to be seen in that country, and I think they already are, but even more so as the place where the downtrodden can come. And that's really the story of Dr. Theodore. I mean, he's known throughout the country as a guy who's there for the little guy. Mm-hmm. And so he's never been heavily involved in politics. He stays fairly clear of that, but a lot of people want him to run and wanted him to be a politician, but he was actually offered the job of prime minister last year. Oh, and you may the recent assassination, yes, that president asked Guy to be his prime minister. Wow. And the current prime minister was, I guess, the guy who decided to do it when Guy turned it down. But there's so much corruption in the politics there. Yeah. It's best to steer clear. If you want to be successful in mission work especially, it's best just to steer clear and focus on your task.
My little knowledge of Haiti comes, frankly, from you and from a little bit of study, but it seems like every time you turn around, that country can't catch a break. Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's accurate.
Yeah, so hearing what you're talking about in that the one area that you guys are focused on it's encouraging. This question might be a tough one. Again, you may have already kind of covered it, but I try to ask about what are some of these specific initiatives? Is there something specific you can talk about, or some other initiatives, or expand on some of the initiatives you've already talked about that the organization is doing in Haiti?
Sure. So, I guess the question is, how do we do what we do? It's one thing, and one of the things I'll say about mission work and where so many missions fail, especially when they're sort of founded in the States and a group goes down, they say, let's start a hospital, or let's start a church, or let's do whatever the case may be. If you don't involve the local people Correct. In a way where they are actually running and doing things, it will eventually fail. And this was one of the big lessons Guy taught me. The first week I was there as a board member, we got in his Jeep and we drove around all over the countryside. And he showed me mission after mission after mission that was just dead, dead land, all these buildings, literally millions of dollars of progress that just stopped dead in its tracks because the people eventually passed away, moved on, and they never left their legacy there.
No way to sustain it.
No way to sustain it. And so I think that's what makes this mission different, in that we support them. We're not running things for them.
Right.
In Haiti, they are their own organization. They call themselves the Comité Bienfaisance of Pignon. And our job is to help facilitate getting people there, facilitate funds, ideas, and work alongside. So we're not telling them what to do. They're not telling us what to do. We work as partners. And that's been the key to their success. I would say the other thing that's been the key to success is that it's not all free. A great example of how things like this can be a big problem. There's a hospital an hour or so away from our hospital that was built on a foundation out of New York, a $10 million facility, and all charity driven. They were actually giving free health care to everybody who would come. They would pay for you to come. And, of course, that hurts all the people who are actually trying to run a hospital and pay their employees and pay their doctors and pay the people mopping the floors.
Right.
When somebody's giving everything away for free. And ultimately that money will dry up. And then underneath that, you sort of decimated the health economy because now you've got this somebody wants to be a doctor in Haiti, they have it's difficult to make an income. So we try to discourage that kind of mission because they always fail, and they tend to never include the Haitians in a way that allow them to continue moving and working forward. So it's been key that Guy, as a Haitian, went back and started this and has made Haitians the centerpiece of how it runs. How do we help them do that? We send teams down. We facilitate surgical specialty teams and medical teams. We send educators down for the schools. We do training. People go to the summers, do Bible schools, things like that. It's been slow the last couple of years for all the reasons we all know about, but maybe, about half the year we've got a team down there for a week doing different kinds of things. So whether it be construction or Bible teaching or you name it. But medical care, we have people coming from all over the country. University settings. Emory University has been coming down now for several years, helping do very specialty surgery for us, and a lot of general surgical teams. We have a group out of Fargo that comes down. We have an eye team out of Fargo. They come down and restore vision every year to thousands of people. It's really an amazing setup, the way that we have things going. I think on a more personal level, we want to not just kind of come down and be, like I said before, healing bodies. We were trying to also help heal souls. And one of the ways our mission tries to do that is give people an opportunity not just to come down and knock out a bunch of surgeries or build something or paint something. Anybody can do those things. But we really want to encourage people to get involved in the lives of the people they're trying to help. And so we have a few programs. One that I'll sort of highlight we have is called Health Partners. And there's a gentleman in Haiti. His name is Jean Robert. He's just an amazing individual who loves Jesus and loves taking care of people and loves sharing gospel with people. And one of my favorite stories about Jean Robert is through this program that we call Health Partners, an American family supports a Haitian family's health care. They give them basically it's an insurance subsidy. So someone who's extremely poor has very little to no income. The average income in Haiti is less than $200 a year for a year. So people in the countryside are living on virtually nothing. We have a family in the States who will support their health care. So they get an annual checkup. They get any kind of health care they need, medications, whatever. The Health Partners program will cover that. And so we have an insurance pool. We use some of those funds to actually go towards the hospital itself. So 40% or so of the funds that get donated to Health Partners goes to general fund of the hospital, pays for medicine, pays for whatever you need. So we can tie an American family into a Haitian family. Some of the folks that you and I know are sponsoring families there, and there are so many stories where that has helped people. But the one that really comes to my mind, where Jean Robert had been working on a guy who was a voodoo witch doctor of the worst sort. there are different kinds of voodoo in Haiti. There's sort of folklore voodoo that's, we're Panthers fans here, we wear our jerseys and whatever the case may be. And there's kind of folklore voodoo in Haiti where people, they don't live and die by it, but they,
yeah.
And then there's sort of the darker side of voodoo where people are doing things that are intended to hurt other people, intended to curse other people, intended to make their lives miserable. And so this is the kind of witch doctor this guy was. And John Robert had the opportunity through the Health Partners program to reach out to this guy because he got very sick. He ended up getting hospitalized. And I can't recall the details of what care he needed, but I believe it was some sort of surgery that was life-threatening if he didn't have it taken care of. And gave John Robert an opportunity to open the door and start talking to this guy. And so over the course of several months after he got out of the hospital, he convinced him to give up being a witch doctor. The guy became a Christian.
Oh, wow.
And now he's out there trying to get other people under the fold of Christ. So that's
the point.
Way. Exactly.
Yeah.
And not only does that
that's a great story.
So there's a guy who's not only got health care, but not only is his life changed, but all the people that knew him as a witch doctor before now are looking at him going, what happened to you? How did this happen? So there are hundreds and hundreds of stories like that. That's one that I always keep dear to my heart. But
that's good. I mean, that was actually the next question. So I appreciate you sharing that. It's always good to hear some very specific, anecdotal stories. Is there any other related to that you'd like to share, or is that kind of the best one that you've got?
Wow.
This is only a 12-hour podcast. All right.
I will say, there are a lot of stories around voodoo. There's a very interesting book, if you've never read it, called The Serpent and the Rainbow, which is...
Okay, I'm familiar with that, but I have not read it. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is not really a story about redemption, but it's an interesting story. And this just happened 3 or 4 years ago, where a patient came to our hospital, and we had an American medical missionary there at the time. And he was talking to the lady, and she said, I was a zombie. And he's kind of shaking his head going, whatever, And she goes, no, really, I died, and they brought me back as a zombie, and they enslaved me for several years at this farm in another part of Haiti. And he gets to talking to her a little more, and he starts listening to her, sort of wondering what's happened to this lady. Did she just get abused? Did someone, she's just making up this story. So he calls in Dr. Theodore. And Dr. Theodore walks in the room and is just awestruck because he helped bury this lady a few years before. She came in during childbirth and died. I'm using quotation hands if you can't see that.
Yeah.
She died at childbirth. He went to her funeral and helped bury her. And next thing he knows, she shows up years later. And so there's stuff like that goes on, and that's where the book, The Serpent and the Rainbow, comes in. There's a dark art where they can use poisons and things to make people appear dead, and especially people will curse other people. They'll pay somebody to go poison them. They'll put them in. They look like they're gone. Then in the middle of the night, they'll dig them back up, and if they survive that, they'll enslave them. And if I didn't know the people that were involved in that, I would be like, whatever. But that's a real story.
This has just become the most listened to episode that we're going to have, because once this gets out, yeah.
Well, if you read The Serpent and the Rainbow, it's a very interesting story about a guy who's really trying to figure out what is going on with this in Haiti. He goes to Haiti to try to figure it out. What's scientifically
that was made into a movie, wasn't it?
It may have been. If
I think
it was, I didn't see it, but. Yeah.
Well, I'm a big believer the movie is never, no matter what it is never as good as the book. Yeah.
Exactly. So, except maybe Star Wars. But anyway,
well, that's fair. Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so it's a good read, and it's interesting, and it kind of helps make more sense. But
I'm gonna jump back a little bit to and get back to a book. I think Will Current that I don't know how many years ago shared a book with me called Toxic Charity. I don't know if you're familiar with that book, and it kind of goes to your point about I won't call it an addiction, but this thing that we Americans like to go down and somewhere and spend a week there and then leave, and and the issues that can cause.
Right.
There are some there's always unintended consequences sometimes of good deeds, right?
Absolutely.
And it takes somebody like maybe Dr. Theodore who really knows what's going on. I know my personal only real experience with international mission is through Rotary and the work our Rotary Club had done in Honduras. I was lucky enough to go down there it was started out as a water project. And what I do like about specifically what Rotary does, to your point, is you have to partner with a local Rotary Club
right.
to make it sustainable. So there's somebody there, there's a group there, there's whether it's the villagers, or whomever you're dealing with, the local government, somebody has got to be there to sustain projects. And especially, like even water projects requires maintenance. There's a lot of things that go, you can't just go, because we weren't digging wells, we were doing, I guess, big cisterns, on elevated locations, but all that requires ongoing maintenance and so you can't just show up. But that's I do typically do a book recommendation at the end of each episode, but now we've got 2 more to add to that for this one. But Toxic Charity is worth reading if you really want to kind of understand, what's often really needed in some of this mission work that goes on.
I would add, there's a very good book called When Helping Hurts by Stephen Corbett. Very much along the same line as Toxic Charity. And to your point, when people go to do mission work, most people will tell you, especially if they go on a week-long trip, that they got more out of the trip than they gave.
There's absolutely no question. The week I spent in Honduras was absolutely
right.
It was perspective and life-changing, yes.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that it's important that people have that experience because that's what connects us. And more importantly, it, like in my case, really put a fire in my heart to do something more. Right. A lot of people go down, they come back and say, it's not my thing.
Sure.
And that's fine. It's not everybody's thing to do. But the real key thing, and that we try to really hammer home with especially college students that come down to people, is let's go down and think a lot about what we're going to do and how is that going to be impactful. We know we only have a short time and we know we can't be changing the world. But if we don't focus on one problem at a time, you're not going to get many places. And we have to, all the steps involved. It's like you said, when you do a work project, if nobody's there to maintain what you did after you leave, it'll just go dead. And that I've seen that happen so many times because there's no forward planning and no back end planning. So it's very important, and we try to really emphasize that if you're going to do a trip like that, make sure you're thinking about all the aspects of what you're doing. And that applies to healthcare too. You can do surgery on somebody, and if you send them back to a hut and a dirt floor and the surgical wound infection is a problem, most of the surgeons that go down never think about what it's like for their patients when they leave the hospital. Yeah. So we've almost made it a requirement that anybody providing healthcare has to come down and go visit a family on Health Partners and see where they're living. Many of these families are living in homes that are half the size of this room we're in, 10 feet by 12 feet. And there'll be 10 people sleeping on a dirt floor. Yeah. We had one family, no joke about this. The surgical team went out to visit with a lady. She was sleeping on the floor, and they said, "Is there anything that you need?" And she said, "I've never slept in a bed. I would love to have a bed." Oh that's the only thing she wanted. I just want somewhere soft to lay down. And she was elderly. They went and got her a bed. They took it to her. She slept in that bed, and she died the next day. And of course, the surgical team and everybody, I still get choked up over that one, but, it's the little things like that people don't connect.
That's stunning.
People come to the hospital, they see these patients, they go, the team stays at the hospital, but until you get out and you see it, you don't understand where they're headed back to. That's just
when I was in Honduras, I walked through some, actually at the time I wouldn't call them houses,
right?
They weren't, and so to your point about college students going down, coming back to the States after Hurricane Andrew and hearing the complaints, it gives you a different perspective on, I just went to the refrigerator and got some water, some filtered water, right? And without thinking twice about it. There's areas of the world that can't have clean water, don't have clean water, period.
Or even with all the wells they drilled in Haiti, people still have to walk sometimes 2 or 3 miles with a bucket on their head to go get the water and bring it home.
This might be an impossible question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is there something that you are most proud of accomplishing through your work with Promise for Haiti? Anything specific, or is it just too hard to narrow down?
I don't think it's that hard to narrow down. I'll tell you what I think. I don't like to say that I'm proud of it, but what I have seen happen over the years in my work there, the first thing I tell most people about myself in this mission is I'm not a businessman. I'm a doctor, and by definition, that means I'm a terrible businessman. Just ask Dr. Letts. But I have seen so many amazing things happen that really had nothing to do with what I have been trying to do. In fact, many times what I try to do is the wrong thing to do, and I think God really changes. He steers things the right way for us a lot of times. I mean, there's just story after story of things that have happened without my doing. But what I would say is I've had the privilege of getting to witness that and sort of see the Lord's providence over it all. I'll give you one example. So one of the first things we needed when I became the board president was a new x-ray machine. We knew the one that we had, which had been installed back in the early 80s by Samaritan's Purse, was limping along. They were having to fix it all the time. They were running out of parts and couldn't get parts because it was an old machine. In fact, it was the same kind of machine my dad had in his primary care practice in Arkansas back in the 70s. So I made that sort of my first project. We got to get a new x-ray. That's vital. So I went to Samaritan's Purse, who I will add has just been an amazing, helpful organization to us. We went there and talked to them about trying to acquire an x-ray. We went through the process, raised the funds, got the money, got the thing shipped down there. And it's actually one that's built for third world countries. It's a workhorse that's not got a lot of bells and whistles, but takes good films and is reliable. We got that thing installed, and it took a lot of process for this. I mean, months of planning. Get it installed, and no joke, the day that machine went operational, the other machine died, and it's never worked since. And
so that's the same thing as the lady with the bed.
Yes. And that kind of thing happens over and over. And so
yeah, I'm not a coincidence believer most of the time.
You will not be if you work in a mission like this. Yeah. You will suddenly over time you'll realize things are not coincidental. And that has been if there's anything I would say I'm proud of is just being able to be a part of all that.
Right. So this is I've kind of modified this question a little bit because since the work being done is not here specifically in Gaston County, but why would you, again, you've already said about 1 gazillion reasons, but why would you say Gaston County along with Haiti are better because the organization is here?
That's a good question. Their biggest 2 reasons that I would say is, first off, let me just back up. The reason that we're in Gaston County is that I'm the board president, and right. I don't mean that I'm the guy who made that happen. That's how the organization has been over the years. The board president was in Arkansas and then passed on the baton, and then it went to Nashville, Tennessee for a long while. Okay. Then it came here when I became the board president. We've actually moved our office here, and treasurer is here. Keith Gunter, I don't know if you know Keith. He's our Promise for Haiti board treasurer. Okay. So we brought the organization here because it's easier to work when we're all working together, and we're local. But it connects Gaston internationally to a place that people aren't thinking about. And
when they do think about it, it's a bad headline typically.
Right. And so when I interact with people every day, because they know my work, people are like, how are things in Haiti? What's going on in Haiti? And, that probably wouldn't happen if we weren't here. So I think number one is keeping it in people's minds. And it's not necessarily trying to just reiterate all the bad things that are happening, but it gives us an opportunity to say, look, these are the good things that are happening. So, and people want to become part of that. Gaston County reminds me a lot of where I grew up. It's a smaller town. It's growing, but it's the people here are just step up, man. When you need help, people are everywhere willing to help out. And so we've created a presence here that has helped us move forward in the things that we need to do. And it's not all just raising money. It's also having an impact on the people there through healthcare that people have provided, but also sending teams and groups of people. We just went back down there in April with a group of guys that are part of our Bible study I'm in, and we had about 14 people from around this area that went with us to help install a solar system that we've been struggling to get completed for several years. And so we all decided to go down in April. We took the window, got down there, and in about 3.5 days, we did about 2.5 weeks of work. And, everybody worked really hard to get this thing in a position now where we've got an electrician coming down to hook it up. And that's a big deal because we burned through a ton of diesel fuel.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to keep the lights on. We are purely on generators. There's no such thing as commercial electricity in Haiti. So, but when a generator dies, if you're in the middle of surgery, that's a problem. And so we need backup energy, and so that's what the point of the solar is. And so all these Gaston County guys and people from the area pulled together on their own expense, went down and helped us get this project done. And so that's one example of many of people that are involved, and that I'm grateful for. Wouldn't be easy to do in every place in the country.
Correct.
And I think
Absolutely.
That's what is unique about here.
What do you envision Promise for Haiti looking like in 5 to 10 years?
That is such a difficult question.
You don't know what it's going to look like in 30 days?
Right. What do you envision this podcast looking like in 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, nothing. Elizabeth will be in charge of it. And,
right.
And
I thought of a few names that you could maybe. My favorite was Moist Air.
Oh, my God.
So some people might find that objectionable, but
we are in a humid. Can we bleep out
environment?
That'll be perfect when we can get them to bleep that out.
Some people don't like that word, but it is very humid here. And so, anyway, I digressed. But what was the question again?
5 to 10 years from now.
5 to 10 years from now. I think there are a couple of major things. One, we really need a school system that's robust and not just getting kids through elementary school. We really need to up our ability to get kids onto more professional things and technical things. So we've got some really amazing stories of kids coming out of homes like Guy who are all working within the mission now. One kid I remember especially because I work with him every day. His name's Evanel, and he's part of Rotary. And Pignon. He's probably in line to be a Caribbean governor of Rotary.
Oh, wow.
He's brilliant. He can fix everything, everything. He's taught himself how to do so much, and now he's all over Haiti. He goes around to hospitals teaching them how to fix their biomedical equipment. He's the one putting together this incinerator that we sent down through Rotary this year, which was an amazing project. He came here and got the training for it in Pennsylvania. They just installed it last couple of weeks. He's a product of the system, right?
Okay,
He's someone who started as a little kid in our schools, showed aptitude, went on, and I'm pretty sure when I went down there the first time, he was one of the little kids helping us paint one of the hospital rooms. And there are dozens of stories like that of people being nurses, doctors, business people, whatever the case may be, where that's our we envision that in the future, 5 to 10 years from now. I would love to see us in a position where we're churning out a lot more people like that. The potential is there. It's the opportunity is what's not there.
So before we kind of shift gears here, is there anything else I should have asked but haven't yet, or anything that you'd like to share about the organization?
Most of the things I've talked about, I would just say that we're always in need of prayer. We're always in need of help. And, people give money to a lot of things. That's not really all that we need. We, of course, need funding, but we really need people's interest. What's going to change a community like Pignon is investing time and ideas and not just talking about it, but seeing it through. And one problem at a time. I really would like to emphasize that because it is easy to come to a place like Haiti and look around you and be totally overwhelmed. I sort of see two types of people, very generalization, but some people come down, they see it, and they're so overwhelmed they become petrified. I've seen people come down and literally stay in the dorm the whole week because they just could not handle what they were seeing.
Oh, wow.
And the other type of person you see is they see all the things around them and they think, all right, let's go tackle this one thing.
Yeah.
And I learned a lesson a long time ago, focus on small things and chip away. Yeah. And over time, And that's true of a lot of things in life, but especially in mission work, you don't bite off more than you can chew. Just keep small ideas and keep working away, and over time you'll see things change. And that's been the one experience I've had about this whole thing. I started back in 1992, and I've seen a town that was nothing but straw huts with thatch roofs, no roads, no electricity, really turn into, in Haiti, something that's a shining light, business, commerce. They just put a swimming pool in, a community swimming pool in the last time I was there. Restaurants are opening up.
Oh, wow.
So there are things like that we so take for granted here, but would never have happened if there weren't people taking small steps.
Right.
It's taken a long time, and they're still way behind the rest of the world. But you see the change, and it really you can see the impact that it makes. So
what advice would you give somebody wanting to get involved with the organization like yours, or from a volunteer standpoint, or maybe a career somehow with an organization such as Promise for Haiti?
Right. Well, I'll put a plug in. We don't have an executive director. All right. We're an all volunteer board. Okay. None of us get paid to do this job. Everybody that's involved in it, we've all been down there and spent significant time there, and our lives are vested in it. But we need an executive director, maybe somebody who's got some vision to help us from a business standpoint, who may be retired and just needs something fun to do that's going to be beneficial. So I'll throw that plug out there. We will pay you absolutely nothing, but you will reap the benefits that are way, way better than financial. My advice to anybody getting involved in something like this is, number one, do your research. Don't just say, I feel like I need to go help somebody, hop on a plane and go somewhere. That's the worst mistake you can make. If you're really interested in doing something like this long term and having a significant impact, you need to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. See a lot of people doing mission work for the wrong reasons. Most of it's personal. You really have to have a desire to help others and get beyond yourself. And so that's the biggest thing. You need to know why you want to do this. You need to research it well, and with whatever mission work you want to do. And you need to, if it's something that your heart is driving you to do, you need to sit down with the people that are there, and you don't need to go in with, here's what I'm coming to do to help you, right? It's like, what's the Ronald Reagan quote about, the worst words you want to hear is, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. You don't want to be that person coming into a place like Haiti. Hey, I'm an American, I've got all these resources, and I'm here to make your life better. That's the worst approach possible. You need to go in with humbleness. You need to come in and do a lot of listening and understand the environment you're coming into. And
because they really know what's going on the ground.
They know what's going on.
Not somebody that's just showed up yesterday.
Right. And it's almost offensive, right, when somebody comes in like that. So when people come in, and one of the sayings that used to offend me when I first got started working with this is, missionaries come and missionaries go. And I thought, man, that's kind of cold. But they're right. They're there all the time dealing with the problems, and people come down on fire, and then they get discouraged and go, and they're always going to be there. So come down, understand what you're getting into, and approach it from an attitude of, I'm here to be your servant.
So something that we do in these podcasts, and all of a sudden, Elizabeth, this next little section seems just, I don't know. So, but this is kind of what the people who know Omer, or this is what they're really wanting to know about you, Omer. So we're going to come back to, we're going to shift gears just briefly, and we'll come back to Promise for Haiti and make sure our listeners know how to help and answer a few other questions about that. But this is what we call it, Do You Really Live in Gaston County? Round of questions. Okay. And this is really, I'm sure everyone in that you work with in Haiti is going to be interested in this as well. Or at least,
maybe.
At least Dustin might be.
Maybe not.
So first question is, favorite Tony's ice cream flavor?
I got to stick with vanilla. I'm very vanilla flavor guy.
So
you can add things to it. You can put stuff on it, and it's always going to be good.
So 2 episodes now in a row, we've had somebody say vanilla for the first time. Ann Tippett was here yesterday recording an episode, and she said vanilla. She also said, somehow it came up, and I mentioned to her that we were going to be recording an episode with you today, and she said, oh my God, he makes me cry every time I hear this story about Promise for Haiti. And we have proven that out today. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it to the rest of this episode, actually.
Here's a tissue.
Hey, I might, Elizabeth, you might need to go get some. But you know what? I mean, well, I'll come back to that. Sorry. Sun drop or cheer wine?
Cheer drop would be what I would have to say.
Okay.
I didn't grow up here, right? Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I grew up on New Grape. Have you ever heard of New Grape?
Yes, I know.
So that was bottled in my hometown.
You know what?
And,
a good grape soda. But have you ever had grape ice cream from
that? I have
Tony's? Not. If you like New Grape, you will like the grape ice cream from
All
Tony's.
Right. I'll give it a whirl.
Right.
But I've got nothing against Sundrop or Cheer Wine. They give probably me a lot of business.
A
lot of people with heart racing issues.
That is probably not.
Who maybe overindulge from time to time.
Yeah, that is probably not a cardiologist, or I can't pronounce exactly what you are. Sorry. EP. That's what people, they just call
physiologist? EP, electrophysiologist.
Electrophysiologist. I was close. Yep. I was close. I'm going to write that down.
Another synonym would be nerd. But
okay. Well,
in today's world, I don't know if you can
earlier you were talking about the pocket protector. I mean, by education, I am an engineer, so I'm
well aware. Yep. Okay.
Dilbert's my guy. Besides James T. Kirk and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah. So, favorite local restaurant?
I'd have to say Gia.
Oh,
we go to Gia.
Gia's very good.
A lot.
In fact, I just had Gia Sunday on our way home from Raleigh.
Yep. I love the people at Gia.
Whatever day it was, we pulled up beside Elizabeth.
And the food, and it's always a good experience.
Favorite outdoor activity in Gaston County?
I like to get outdoors. I like to run a bit, so anything that involves hiking or getting out in the woods, I'm for it. I used to camp a lot more when my kids were younger, but it's hard to do that now. But I like to get out on the trails and just experience the peace and quietness. I'm
also the one to blame for a relay. I think you raced that you ran when I had to drop out. Was that the Dam to Dam relay?
Yep, yeah, that was.
I heard you were spectacular, by the way.
Spectacular depends on how you define that, but it was a lot of fun. We finished, and we had a lot of fun. I think it was 100 miles. 4 of us split up, and Dustin Letts drove the whole thing home, and he was outstanding. So we just had a lot better time than I thought I would have.
Yeah, those things actually are surprisingly fun.
Yeah.
So this is an unfair question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So where did you go to medical school?
Vanderbilt in Nashville.
Yeah, I don't know where that is. But, so I'm going to ask this question anyway because I'm an NC State guy. UNC, Duke, or NC State?
Okay, so I guess what's the reason for the question is who would I root for?
The reason
now that I live in North Carolina?
The reason for the question is I'm an NC State guy, and I am.
Everybody knows that.
I'm inevitably.
Everybody knows that.
Do they? I'm surprised. But
nearly everybody.
As an NC State guy, I get tired. We, as NC State alums, get tired of hearing about UNC and Duke.
Right.
So this question is specifically to try to.
Yep. It's a loaded question.
You are correct. It is a completely loaded question.
I'm going to put it to you from this perspective. I grew up in Arkansas, and I'm a Razorback. I'm always going to be a Razorback. I cannot not be a Razorback. But when it comes to sporting events, if Arkansas, or I'll also say Kentucky on behalf of my wife, she's from Lexington. She can't help it.
Okay.
But
that's good.
We're going to be against Duke or UNC. I'll just put it to you that way.
Well, then.
And any sporting event.
That is a Stephen approved answer.
It's a by default NC State.
But
and my son may be interested in going to NC State. He's looking at engineering. So.
It's terrific. And if I wrote this down correctly, you went to a college named after a gin. Isn't Hendrix a gin? A brand of gin, I think.
Could be.
Okay.
But
I think it is.
Not being a gin guy. A lot of people confuse it with Jimi Hendrix.
We have some very good friends who are big gin fans, and I'm pretty sure we have bought them gin before. Hendrix gin.
Hendrix gin. Yeah. Well, that would be new to me.
So what is something very, very few people know about you that we can share on a family-friendly podcast?
I'm glad you said that. What people don't know about me, Steve, is I'm a twitcher. Do you know what a twitcher is? Otherwise known as a birder. Not an ornithologist, okay? That's several degrees away. I like to look at and I like to watch little birds,
Okay.
especially colorful ones. I've created this environment in my backyard where my children think I've quite literally lost it. And I'll sit out in the backyard and listen and watch the birds come in and eat. And, I get a lot of pleasure out of that. So I don't have binoculars yet, but
We can get you some binoculars.
the day's coming.
So I'm glad you clarified that, because my small pea brain was just going to.
Well, I wanted
you
to
can't
let it
sit
sit
still.
in. Yeah, I wanted to let it sit in for a minute
Okay,
before I
well,
told
I'm
you.
glad you did. So, how about any? You've mentioned a couple already that I think are probably really good reads. Any other book or blog or article, or anything you would recommend to the listeners?
Yeah, you know what? I thought about that question, and the first thing that came to my mind was a book I'm actually still reading right now called Grizzly Years. It's by a guy named Doug Peacock. It was published in the 90s. And a friend of mine put me onto this book after my oldest daughter and I went to Glacier National Park this year. And
Okay.
There's a direct flight now from Charlotte to Glacier National Park.
Oh, wow.
And we had some leftover tickets from COVID that we had to burn or they were going to go away. So we said, let's go up to Glacier. And we went up there, and we had a bear experience, quite literally, walking on a trail. We were doing a nice long hike together. This is my oldest daughter, Ashley, and I. And we are turning a hairpin, and suddenly she stops and says, Dad. And I'm not paying attention. I'm just kind of aloof. And there's a giant brown bear on the trail. I'm just guessing he was probably 2,000 pounds, or 350 pounds, but he was big. Whatever he was huge.
Whatever sounds more frightening is stick with it.
Yeah, and you want to talk about instantly, going from 60 to 160 on your heart rate. That was an eye opener. So anyway, my friend, here's the story. It's like, you got to read this book, Grizzly Years, because Glacier has a lot of grizzly bears, and it's a real interesting read. This guy came literally directly home from the Vietnam War, was so sort of dejected and burnt out, and just hit the woods. And he had sort of grown up camping, and he went out and he decided he wanted to follow the grizzlies. And so he spent several years going around the Northwest and in California tracking grizzlies and sharing his experiences about it. And the book kind of goes back and forth between his experiences in Vietnam and his experiences in the woods. And it's very well written, very fascinating read. And
What was the author's name again?
Doug Peacock.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good read.
That's great. So, everyone in Gaston County, appreciate you taking the time to answer those, lighter questions, maybe. Might be a better way to put that. So, we're going to finish up here, Omer. Again, appreciate your time. But can you share in your own words, besides, Promise for Haiti, being here and what the work that you do through that, why would you say Gaston County is such a great place?
Gaston County reminds me of where I grew up. And, people here are so friendly, so accommodating. I'll be honest, when I was a kid and I had a friend who was from North Carolina, they moved to Arkansas. And the first thing that she said was, people in North Carolina don't like outsiders.
Really?
And they were more coastal Carolina, but it was kind of interesting because when we first knew we were coming this way, I was a little nervous about that. That stuck with me from when I was a young kid, and I thought, man, I hope we're going to be okay because Arkansas, Kentucky, people are very friendly, and we were so just taken in here. People have been fantastic. We've made so many wonderful friends, and this community is just, we've loved it, really loved it. It's well positioned in our country. We get to do a lot of fun things, but it's the people that make the difference.
I appreciate that, and I agree completely.
Yep.
And to your point about, people you ask and people step up, and so again, I appreciate that. This might be a silly question now after hearing your passion for Promise for Haiti, but I might ask it anyway. If you weren't involved with Promise for Haiti, what would you be doing besides saving lives?
Sleeping a little more.
Well, you have teenagers, so that's out.
Yeah, right. I'd probably still sleep a little more, lock myself away somewhere. I really enjoy doing things like fly fishing and getting outside a lot when I was a bit younger and before I got involved in this. Those are things I really like doing. That's a place where I can kind of, let my brain chill,
disconnect,
listen to the Lord, see what's going on, and disconnect, but just thoroughly enjoy that kind of thing. So
a great book that we had Sharon Padgett on talking about the YMCA, but the book she recommended was, I think the title of it is The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of, part of the book is about, the technology that we live with now, but what I got most out of it was just being able to disconnect and kind of bring back the Sabbath, not necessarily Sunday necessarily, but just the time when you are not doing anything but resting and listening for that voice, right, that you just mentioned. And I mean, when I read that book, I said, boy, I just don't do that anymore.
Yep.
I just don't take
Very
the time.
few of us do.
Yeah. Kind of went back to what I said earlier. I'm afraid I don't want to hear it.
Right.
Because he might tell me to do something.
Yep.
So
it's so important to take that rest, though.
Yeah.
And no matter how busy you are, even with things like, what I'm doing, if you don't rest, you can't reset. You have to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's a challenge, but
so
it needs to be priority.
This is probably, I think I say this every episode. This is my favorite question. So if you look back, again, I know it's just a couple of years ago, look back on knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
I think the main thing I would say is don't wait to get involved. Yeah. Part of my mistake, I think, was I kept telling myself, well, I'll wait till I get through college, and then I'll wait till I get done with medical school. Oh, there's residency, and then I'm getting married now. Oh, wait till your kids are grown. If you wait and wait and wait till you're retired, I mean, there's always going to be an excuse. Yeah. So I wish I had told myself when I was a little younger, hey, take some time and get involved with this, because I've loved it so much that I wish I'd had more time with it. Mm-hmm. Stuff I can't take back. So make the most of the time that you have, but don't put it off. If it's in your heart to do something, get busy.
Yeah, I mean, life happens while you're planning for the future, right?
Exactly. But it's you have to juggle it and you have to balance it. It's one of the things I always say is everything in moderation. A lot of times to my patients, we all like our sun drop or our ice cream or whatever the case may be, and we can all enjoy those things, but it needs to be in moderation.
Or GM. In excess. Well,
that's one exception. But same goes with how you spend your time.
So, Omer, this has really been good. So before we finish, two things I want to say. First is you are officially now the longest episode, which means you just edged out Dustin Letts with the F3 podcast.
Fantastic.
Okay,
all I wanted to do was beat Dr. Letts.
Absolutely. That was our mission today. So where can listeners go to learn more about the organization, get involved, help, volunteer? I mean, where can they go to learn more?
The simplest thing is our website, promiseforhaiti.org. You can go there and plug into the mission or donate or just read about us and find out things you want to pray for us. That's the best spot to go.
Also think you got an event coming up soon?
We do. October 7th, we're having a golf tournament over at Kramer Mountain, and this is our 5th annual tournament. We took a year off for COVID, but so far we are on our way to probably being the best year we've had with the tournament. We still could use some more teams to play and some more supporters for holes, sponsorships, things like that. It's always a fun day. We got a lot of activities out there. You don't even have to be able to golf to come and have a good time. So that's our next big event. We're raising money to help with earthquake relief. We're trying to sort of beef up our supplies. We're expecting to see a lot of needs for medical care as the roads get back put together. People are going to start coming out of the earthquake area who you hear about all the deaths, but you don't hear about all the people who are hurt and need help.
Right.
So we're expecting a surge there, but also all our kids in our schools, we try to provide them with a meal a day, and the food costs have gone up almost 100% in a year's time. So we're trying to raise money to help us meet our goal of feeding kids. If they don't have nutrition, they don't learn. So that's our goal.
So is this is going to be released, unfortunately, just a couple of days before the golf tournaments, but I'm assuming anyone have a couple of days would be able to still get involved and still even get a team there at the last minute. So
absolutely,
anybody listening out there who wants to play some golf and help out this great organization, please take advantage of that and get to the website to do that. So any last comments or anything you want to add before we shut down this 14-hour podcast we just recorded?
Just thanks. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak about it, and look forward to see what fruit it can provide. And we really appreciate all that you're doing for Gaston County yourself. And
well, I'm not sure. Again, I think we'll go from 3 to 6 listeners after this one. But I want to, before I get into kind of what I finish with each week, I've been very fortunate to have a lot of guests on here, and I'm a Gaston County native, and I've been involved with the community pretty heavily for the last 22 years with different organizations. But your passion for this specifically, and I've seen some presentations that you've given, and I was involved a little bit with just through our Rotary Club with you, the work you did to get that incinerator down to Haiti. So, your passion for it is really what gets people moved and gets people involved. And frankly, Ann Tippett wasn't joking, when she said that yesterday about how you touch people and just the work that you've been able to accomplish. Frankly, I appreciate it, but it also kind of makes me feel, gosh, I need to do more. I need to get off my can and do something else, But that's not a bad thing, okay?
Not a bad thing, and it doesn't have to be Haiti.
Absolutely.
We've got needs everywhere in our own county, and everybody has a calling to do wherever.
Well, it's good.
It doesn't have to be in any place.
It's really good work on working this, and I'm because of all that, I'm proud to know you, and I appreciate you taking the time to be on. So, with that said, I was intentional about my book recommendation this week. I kind of looked around for something I thought it's not necessarily, it's on leadership, and I think Omer's leadership is something that has shown through with the work he's done. And somebody that I like to follow is a former Navy SEAL named Jocko Willink, and him and one of his cohorts, Leif Babin, wrote 2 books on leadership that I think are exceptional. One is called Extreme Ownership, and the other is called The Dichotomy of Leadership. So if you're interested in leadership, and the reason I like the books so well, especially as a business owner, is they kind of take their military experience and kind of relate that to how you can take those lessons and kind of relate those to the business world, or frankly, anything that you're involved with. So those are two books I would strongly recommend. And then my quote this week it stays with leadership as well. The guy named Orrin Woodward, who I follow and have read a couple of his books as well, but he has a great quote on leadership that says, "Average leaders raise the bar on themselves. Good leaders raise the bar for others. Great leaders inspire others to raise their own bar." So I think that really ties in well with the work that Omer and Promise for Haiti are doing. So thanks so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode. Please spread the word if you can about the podcast. And please don't hesitate to contact us here at podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We're always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at the website, gastonsgreat.com, and please follow us on our social media platforms. You can also find us and subscribe on most podcast services such as iTunes, Spotify, and Google. You can also rate the podcast, and especially this one, I think there's like a 5 rating, but this one might get like a 7 or 8. So please rate the podcast so more people can become aware of it. So thanks again to Dr. Omer Shedd from Promise for Haiti for being our guest today. Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by, actually, today it's just Elizabeth King. And this is maybe the reason why this is going to be the best episode ever, because Amy Anderson is not here today. So Elizabeth, this is going to be the best one ever. Make sure Amy listens to this one. So, but it's brought to you by Elizabeth King from GSM Services and edited here locally by the Sumner Group. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's great.